My name is Jose Guevara. I was born and raised in Guatemala. I studied international relations and trade. I did a paper on the trade-offs of having a diplomatic relationship between Guatemala and Republic of China, Taiwan, as opposed of having the diplomatic relationships with People's Republic of China. The research was a historical research the last 50 years of the 20th century. During this time, Taiwan got separated from China. There were several political instability in Guatemala. There was a civil war. How these two situations, we had an outcome because Guatemala ended up acknowledging Taiwan, and because of that, we didn't have in Guatemala during the Civil War, we didn't have a Peace Corps or like UN troops looking after the civil population. We had trade-offs and we had benefits of having the relationship that we have. So since that cannot be undone, the paper focuses on what can we do, what's the next step. All my life I have been curious about Asia. Through that curiosity I found the relationship between Guatemala and Asia, the benefits and the opportunity costs that this relationship had, specifically between the two Chinas. My father is in trade, he's an entrepreneur, and he had a couple of Chinese friends. One of them was from continental China, so People's Republic China. So it's like an older family of Chinese people that came to Guatemala before the revolution. And his wife was, I understand that she was from Taiwan. They always said that the next millennium was the Chinese millennium when I was probably 5 years old. And my father always agreed. He always said that the future was in Asia, was in China, that everything was happening there, that the Western world had gone west and things had happened in the West. So they came from Europe, running away from the issues in Europe, and even fighting some of those issues in the east coast of US and the rest of South America. And then even in US, people went west pursuing their dreams. And it's kind of like the direction you go to pursue your dreams, because now everything is happening in Asia and that's going west, even though that's the Far East, but it's just going west across the Pacific. And there's a lot of investment going there, there's a lot of business people going there, and we can see it even nowadays with this crisis. Everything that is actually still working is happening in Asia. So they're still going west. My main research tools were interviews with politicians, business people, journals, case studies, everything. I was looking to get a backup, parallel background. So if this was a politician, where were you working, or what negotiations did you engage with, or what was your issue? If they could give me transcripts, I always welcome them. Some of them were like official, some of them were like you can have the information, but just so that you can make the analysis. Reference from scholars, books that they could refer me, interviews with these scholars as experts of the topic, so they could give me their personal opinion. Because from like politicians or government officials, I tried to filter all the ideology because I needed the fact. And then with scholars, I actually needed the opposite. I needed their opinion. And I went and researched books that could like back up whatever they were saying. My target group in my thesis was the business community that are looking forward to have the opportunity of supplying the Chinese market. It took place probably, it was like 3 years, but the first couple of years were in Guatemala and the last one was in Asia. But I spent in China around 2 months, like going all around China, getting a feel of the society, but also I tried to target like the business areas or like the production areas. So I went to like Chongqing, I went to Shanghai, I went to like Yiwu, Guangdong, to the main cities. And well, there's several other cities that I visited. I went all around there. And I also visited Taiwan. And I could see the difference. I visited all the Asian countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Japan. So I could have a feeling or like a sense of the how culture, society, and how was the business approach, analyzing it from my career point of view, that was business. Comparing it to Guatemala, I said, why are these countries growing so much? And probably we have similar situation. Why can't we? Confucianism and education. Hierarchical structure of Confucianism is that people will respect the opinion of their elders, and their elders will give their best to make a better life of their children. So they will make sure that their children will get a higher level of education that they did. Education is like the highest value in this society, so you need to be educated in order to be someone. If not, you're no one. And that's what got Korea from the poorest country to the seventh economy in the world. The Confucianism has like hierarchy, discipline, respect. There's not chaos. It's like a social integrity. So it's easier to have a social integrity and to follow a leader. I was in the middle of nowhere in China near Chengdu. These Chinese with very poor English kind of told me, if you cannot trust a bank, who can you trust? And this was coming from somebody that was raised in a communist country. And this person was not raised in free market, but he completely understood the value of having strong financial entities that you can trust. And apparently Wall Street doesn't understand that, right? So that's something very impressive. So the conclusion of the research is that Guatemala is better off staying in the political relationship with Taiwan as we are now. There's no benchmarking that shows that changing at this moment is positive.